Some leaders leave footprints, others leave libraries. You're tuning into the Authors on Mission podcast, where industry giants become literacy legends. In every episode, we talk with authors who turn their brilliance into books that transform lives. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authors on Mission. Welcome to your authorship experience. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Authors on Mission podcast. Today, I want to talk about a little something here. You know that moment when you're standing at the edge of your hometown, car idling, wondering if you have the courage to drive down the streets that hold your deepest wounds? That's where we find ourselves today. Not literally, but emotionally, as we explore what it means to transform our most difficult experiences into stories that heal not just ourselves, but others. Meet Deonna Kay. She is a survivor, single mother, CPA, physical therapist, and debut novelist whose book, The Measure of Enough, has readers saying they can't put it down even when the subject matter breaks their hearts. Deonna didn't just write a book, she took her own healing and transformed it into a journey about Casey Robinson, a woman forced to return to her hometown, and the mother she swore she'd never face again. This story is extraordinary because it's proof that our greatest wounds can become our most powerful weapons for good. So we're going to talk about the courage it takes to write truth disguised as fiction, the 6-year journey of making every writing possible, and how sometimes the stories we're afraid to tell are the ones that set us and our readers free. So get ready for a wonderful episode today. Meet Deonna Kay. Welcome to Authors on Mission podcast.
Thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. We'd love to have authors on from all different walks of life and stories to tell, and yours especially is one that I think a lot of people can benefit from hearing, especially because there's the meaning behind it, in addition to the process that it took to bring it to life. So really amazing stuff here. So yeah, I'm wondering if you'd like to get started by giving us a little bit more background about yourself and what ultimately led you to writing your book.
Oh, absolutely. So The Measure of Enough is a 6-year journey, like you mentioned. So I am a single mom, I am a domestic abuse survivor, and I was just surrounded by a lot of folks that had also undergone some similar situations. And although it's a work of fiction, I see in the fiction that I had read myself that it was not depicted in a manner in which I felt was accurate. So I feel like we tippy-toe around some of the more hard truths, some of the trauma, some of the more difficult aspects, the uglier aspects, if you will, of life. And so I wanted to have the opportunity to infuse with a firsthand account of what these things were like. And although they're fictional characters, the truths behind them are real.
Understood. And going through this writing process, it must have been quite difficult to take these real experiences and these real characters and turn them into the written word. It must have been a little bit of a challenge to do so. Did you have a certain process that you used as you were transforming life into word?
It was difficult, but it was also, I would say it was a liberating process, because I knew one of my missions was to make sure that folks that are reading this, at the very back of the book, I put resources for domestic abuse, for eating disorders, for anxiety disorders, and for how to recognize those things, and for how to get help for those things. So one of my missions is that if you're reading The Measure of Enough and you see in yourself, or you recognize someone that you love, some of these issues, that you have a resource.
Right. Well, that's wonderful that you do have the resources in the back of the book. So not only are you telling a story, but you're giving some assistance to others too, a place to go after the fact that, and when they're done reading, to learn a little bit more and to stay involved. That's really great. that you were able to do that. Very important stuff for sure. So yeah, I mean, talking about, more about the book itself, there's a very profound mother-daughter relationship in the book. It's complex, it's painful. I'm wondering, what of all that do you want readers to understand the most about childhood abandonment? What is like the most important lesson there that you think people should be taking away from your book?
Oh gosh, this is a tricky one to
Oh.
answer. I mean,
And if there's more than one lesson, of course, that's perfectly okay too.
absolutely, absolutely. Abandonment can be not just physical abandonment, right? And there's been so many studies on the lasting impact of abuse and abandonment. You look at the ACE, the adverse child experiences, and abandonment is a part of that, leading to mental health behavior problems, or mental health problems and behavior problems, and even physical problems later in life. In Casey's issue, which Casey is the main character in The Measure of Enough, in Casey's situation, her abandonment issues with her mother, she perceives that her mother has abandoned her. And that's her perception of it. As you read on, the reader may have a different take on that. But as we all know, perception is reality. And, especially as a child, what you feel like is happening is going to affect that child. And that's exactly what happened. Is Casey felt like she was being abandoned by her own mother.
Right. So I guess the big theme to explore here then is, your own perception of events, right? And to validate that. And because, you can perceive it however way, but you need to also know how to take that and heal from it, which is a whole nother thing. And to see yourself as enough, which is another thing of a big theme in your book too. Transitioning into that, what does that mean to you? How do you know when we've suffered enough or healed enough or grown enough?
Oh, I love this question so much. I think the bottom line is getting to a point where each of us is able to self-define that concept of enough, is able to say, I'm enough for me, and I don't need that external validation.
Mm.
So, I wrote a piece about taking care of ourselves in one of my recent newsletters, and how important it was to take care of ourselves. And the older I get, the more I realize that. I recently turned the big 50, and birthdays have never bothered me before. No birthday has ever bothered me before, but this one did. And I thought, gosh, why is it? Like, it's just a number. Why is this bothering me? And, I run my own business. I'm a published author. I've got a kid that is doing well in life. Like, from the outside, it seems like I've got it together, right? But there was something nagging at me saying, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. And I realized it was honestly some old negative thought patterns creeping in. And you just kind of have to keep those at bay. And I think all of us have to realize that, we're always going to have something saying, this is not enough. You haven't accomplished this. You haven't done this. But getting to the point where you can override that and you can say to yourself, nope, I'm enough. I don't have to be enough for this person or be enough for that person. I just have to be enough for me. I think once you get to that point in life, then that's it.
Understood, right. So it's about kind of looking around and seeing where are you in life and, I guess adapting your mindset to that in a way. And that goes back to what you were saying before, correct? About like, how you perceive yourself. I guess it kind of all ties together. Would you agree? Or maybe?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's crucial for all of us to stay in that healthy mental and emotional headspace, even to be productive and contributory members of society and make a positive impact on society. And, I think we can all use more of that, especially right now. I think we can all use a little more positivity.
Of course, yeah, and I agree. Everybody needs a little bit more positivity in their lives. So transitioning into the book itself, a little bit more so, I do see you have the cover right behind you. I'm
Mhm.
wondering, can we take a look? Can we get a sneak peek at that? Do
Yes,
you have one? Oh, look at you,
I have
nice
one
and
right here.
big. I love it. So, what inspired the cover design?
So the cover, this is Aunt Jackie's house. So Aunt Jackie is uh, Casey's aunt. She is her beloved confidant. We will all want an Aunt Jackie after you finish reading. I've had so many folks say to me, I just need an Aunt Jackie.
Yes.
She's the aunt that doesn't judge, and she doesn't tell you what you should or you shouldn't do, but she's just there to listen and, kind of your shoulder to cry on and your voice of reason. And she has a house out in the woods, a log cabin out in the woods with her cats. And so that is her house.
Okay, well, I love it. I love it. Did you create that design yourself, or did you work with a team to
I
develop?
worked with a team to get it
Good.
created.
Understood. It's always nice to know there's people on your side who know your vision, your mission, and they're able to take your ideas and put it into an image to really display what your book's all about. So that's great stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah, a little bit about the writing process itself then. It did take you 6 years to complete. So walk us through that a little bit. What was the biggest mistake that you learned from as you went about this book?
Kind of playing into what you just said, the biggest mistake that I learned, or the biggest mistake that I made, was trying to do it all myself. The writing community is one of the biggest team communities I've ever been a part of. In fact, on my website, deonnakay.com, there is a whole section devoted to authors helping authors that has other authors' journeys on there, because every author takes a different journey. And I waited years into the process to realize that each author has probably made the same mistake that I made and is more than willing to help me along the way to not make that mistake. So, I started out not knowing how to get an editor, and started out not knowing even what a beta reader was, and that I needed those. And if I just would have connected with an author group, then I would have saved myself a whole lot of time and heartache. Team approach is always great.
Yeah, of course. And I think that a lot of us need to learn, people think that writing is a solitary process. People sit alone and they're typing away. It seems like it's just one person, but yeah, I mean, I guess you have to learn that a lot of factors do play into this. And you need a lot of different perspectives, a lot of teamwork in it, and it's a matter of finding the right team too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so amazing stuff. And I'm glad that even after the 6 years that you finally were able to get it and put it out there for the world to see, because it is a really important book. So, another question for you. You're writing your second novel. You're working on another one. So tell us a little bit more about that one. That's really exciting. What should we be looking forward to for the second book?
So the second novel has just completed the first draft, and I'm working with a developmental editor much earlier in the game than The Measure of Enough. So hopefully you can look forward to that in the next probably 6 to 8 months. And it is not a sequel, but it is in the same vein. It will have a psychological twist to it.
Oh, I like that. A psychological twist. That's very exciting. And also still has the same important message for everyone to be taking home with them. That's wonderful stuff. If people do want to stay up to date and, know exactly when the book's going to be released, keep a countdown calendar even, where can they look to stay in touch with you? What are some of the websites and social media handles that they can find you?
Yeah, so you can go to www.deonnakay.com, and it's DeonnaKay.com. And then you can also sign up for the newsletter right there, and that will get you the most up-to-date information. And then the Facebook is Deonna Kay Author, and the Instagram is Deonna Kay Books.
Awesome. I love it. Well, we're going to put the links to that in the description box of our podcast today. So you can go ahead and click on over everybody when you're done talking so that you can really get immersed in Deonna Kay's work. So for aspiring authors who want to write about these difficult personal experiences, just as you have, what's your advice for knowing when you're ready to tell your story?
I think it's so personal to know when you're ready to tell it. But I think unless you want to write an autobiography, I think if you're wanting to infuse some of your personal experiences into fictional story, then I think one of the key things is to make sure that you're able to separate that, right? So make sure that you're able to take that fictional character and not completely put your own personality on character XYZ, and know that you're separate from that character. Otherwise, it gets a little bit hairy, and you will end up writing an autobiography. And if that's not your intent, then you do have to keep it separate. Also, if you are wanting to stay, writing fiction, then I think, really outlining is going to be key. Otherwise, at least for me, kind of finding yourself down a rabbit hole when you are infusing personal details is important.
Understood. This is all really insightful and profound stuff. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us. It's things we all need to learn and hold on to as we go ahead and, immerse ourselves in that writing process. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And how about for the listeners' end of it? Some people might be thinking they have their own difficult stories, wondering if they have something worth sharing, wondering if they should start writing it down. Is there anything you want them to know? People who are kind of debating, should I share my story?
Well, gosh, I think everybody has a story to tell. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody has a story to share. And I think that's what makes us all wonderful and unique. And I also think it's something maybe a little bit ugly, as I call it. Sometimes I think we're allowed to walk through these ugly points in life so that we can hold someone's hand along the way to walk through something beautiful together. So, if you're at that point and you're wondering, is it worth telling? If you're asking the question, it probably is.
Of course, I love that. And I always like to say the same thing too. I think everybody does have a story to tell, even if they think you don't. There's always something that we can get on the page and share with others because you never know who you might impact or who you might help.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm wondering if you'd like to share any other writing tips or bits of insights for the audience today. As we begin to wrap up, I'm sure you have some great little tidbits to leave us off with today. What do you think?
My tip for folks that are aspiring to want to write a book, or if you're thinking about it, is write something every day. Even if you're not working on a manuscript, journal or write a short story, jot down a few sentences or ideas. That has really helped me, is just ideas. And before long, you'll have yourself one idea that will stand out, or you'll have yourself, a collection of longer sentences, and that will start formulating into a manuscript. But write something every day, if for no other reason, it's good for the brain.
You are right. It's good for the brain, right? It gets you some practice and some insights and everything in between. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's some really powerful stuff that we should all be holding on to. And you know what? I have one more question for you, actually. You mentioned you have the other book coming out. What else might be on the horizon for you that you've been working on that you'd like to share with the audience? Things for us to be looking forward to, and that we're going to stay in touch and learn a little bit more about you and the work that you're doing. Are there any other projects that you've been working on?
I have a couple of events coming up in terms of book signings, and then the book, of course, that I've been working on. I think that's about it.
Understood. Well, book signings are important. It's a way to get us to meet you, get in touch. It's been a really insightful conversation. I think the topic of your book is one that everybody needs to learn a little bit more about, regardless of what their walk in life is. It's important for us to know how to look for these signs, what to do when we see people in these situations, and also how to help ourselves as well. So you're helping so many people in this book, truly.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Yes. And I mean, volunteering and giving back to your community is just something that I can't stress enough. If you have a little bit of time, go out there and find an organization that you love volunteering with.
Definitely, yeah, of course. And, find one that means something to you also. Like for you, Deonna, I'm sure you'd find one related to survivors. Somebody else might find an organization related to something more personal to them. But whatever it is, you're right, we should be giving back to our communities. Some beautiful stuff. So yeah, again, thank you for joining our show today. If you're listening, The Measure of Enough is available now. This is one of those books that keep with you long after you close it, right? You're going to keep thinking about it and want to implement it, like things you learn into your own life. So perfect stuff. Everybody go ahead and click on the links in the description box, stay connected with Deonna, and also remember that your story matters. Your pain has purpose, and sometimes the very experiences that nearly break you are the ones that will help heal someone else. The question isn't whether you have enough to share, it's whether you have enough courage to begin. Deonna, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Danielle. It has been wonderful, and I appreciate it.
Of course. And everybody else, if today's conversation moved you, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. We're not just building authors here on the podcast, we're building a community of people brave enough to turn their mess into their message. As we learned today, the community is so important, especially when it comes to writing. So stay in touch and be a part of it. And until next time, keep writing, keep healing, and keep believing in the power of your story. This has been Authors on Mission. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, signing off. Have a great day, everybody.
This is Danielle Hutchinson reminding you that somewhere, someone needs the book that only you can write. Visit authorsonmission.com to start your legacy. Until next time, keep leading, keep inspiring, and keep thinking in chapters. Have a great day.